Hello, I'm Jeffrey Mishlove. I know I spend a lot of time talking about higher consciousness, psychic awareness, diving into the depths of your psyche, getting in touch with your deep inner purpose, actualizing your full potentials, becoming knowledgeable about the human potential movement and about 150 years of psychical research and parapsychology. And I hope you find it inspirational, but I'm also aware of the fact that life is stressful, and it's easy to kind of fall into a state where you're stressed out, where you're frazzled, is a word I often use. And where it's just all you really want to do is kind of retreat from the world. In fact, worse than that, maybe you want to strike back. Maybe you want to punch somebody. Maybe you, or even worse, punch yourself or hurt yourself. And my wife, Janelle, ever since I've met her, has been an expert in a field that she calls stress management. It used to be called stress reduction, but she understands that stress reduction isn't always the goal. You see, people sometimes perform at their very best when there is a certain amount of stress in their life, and the technical term for that is eustress. EU, stress, meaning good stress, the kind of stress that keeps you on your toes, that makes you vigilant and alert and wide awake and ready for business, ready for action. So a certain amount of stress is good, but sometimes we have habits that we just get into unconsciously where we get stressed out. And one way to find out if you are stressed out is just check in with your body. Is your stomach tight? Are your shoulders tight? The body can often tell you, and there's another thing that you can do, which is to set up triggers in your environment. Triggers, that's the term my wife loves to use. Things that will remind you simply to relax. Like you could put a little sign up on the refrigerator that just says, take a deep breath, especially if you're in the habit of going to the refrigerator or into the cupboard when you want to relieve your anxiety through food, which isn't the healthiest way to eat. So I realized I've just moved into a home in Albuquerque, a new home. Not brand new, but it's new to us. Big house in Albuquerque 6 months ago, and actually less than 6 months ago. And one of the things I realized looking around this big house is that I have triggers all over the place, triggers that remind me to be aware of the potentials of higher consciousness or deeper consciousness. Sometimes if you watch the New Thinking Aloud interviews, you'll notice my lapel pin, the rainbow yin-yang lapel pin. It's the same as the design on the logo. And if you go to the New Thinking Aloud Foundation website, you'll see that we sell those lapel pins at a very reasonable price. And it's a trigger. It's a reminder. The rainbow yin-yang is a symbol of non-duality, of the wholeness of consciousness, how separation is kind of an illusion because every yin contains within it the seed of a yang and vice versa. And between the two yin and yang elements, well, you have the complete spectrum, the complete color spectrum. But that's just one example of a trigger. Another example, undoubtedly, many people have noticed in the interviews, I have a sculpture here in the studio, and people often ask about it. The name of the sculpture is Family. It's from Zimbabwe, made by the Shona people. It's sculpted in soapstone, but it stands there in the middle of every interview, and it symbolizes the love and affection that family members have for each other. Now, I'm going to be showing you in the segment here, in the InPresence segment, various things that I have placed around my own home that are continual reminders for me of various things I wish to be reminded of. And now for me, because of my interest, deep interest, I guess you'd have to say, in depth psychology and parapsychology and higher consciousness and altered states of consciousness, the triggers are constant reminders to me. I live in an environment where I'm just surrounded by these reminders. So it's easier for me to remember who I am. It's easier for me to remember the potency of consciousness. And I'd like to encourage you to look around your environment. What can you do to create triggers to help you unstress, unwind, breathe, get in touch with your prana, with your life energy, with your natural healing energy. Get in touch with your capacity for intuition and psi awareness, just by tiny little triggers around your house. Works of art are really great for that purpose. Now, in my house, I have many images that are meaningful to me personally. I have many Buddhas that I have brought back from Thailand. I have images from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I have anthroposophical watercolor paintings of the astral plane. I have Chinese images of the afterlife and Chinese images of the arhats, the enlightened bodhisattvas. I have sculptures of the god Brahma. I have symbols of the Jewish religion. These are all meaningful to me, but of course for you it might be quite different. I think some people actually like images of chaos because that's meaningful to them right now, and perhaps working through the chaos is very important. At one time, it was for me. And of course, if you've been watching these videos, you'll know I've posted a lot of those images. The point is certainly not that you should ever think about imitating the kind of images that you see that Jeffrey Mishlove has. Huichol yarn paintings, for example. I have a fondness for psychedelic kinds of imagery. But the important thing is that these are meaningful for you, that they represent images that you find helpful because of the particular path that you are on right now. And I encourage you to do what you can to surround yourself with images, visual images that represent for you important steps that you need to take, that represent for you triggers that are going to put you into what you regard as a better state of mind. But the interesting thing is it just takes a small shift in consciousness to go from a state where you're stressed out, upset, not really centered and balanced, to a state where you're more awake, more curious, more open to what life has to offer you. It's a simple, subtle, little shift that you can make. And one of the best ways to do it, I've mentioned earlier, is simply take a deep breath. A simple little thing like a deep breath can make an enormous difference in your mind, in your consciousness, in your attitude to life. I'll leave you with that thought, and thank you once again for being with me.